Hello. I would want you to come on an adventure with me.
Hey guys, welcome. Today we're going to talk about how to set up a Windows PC for your child. We're going to cover 3 topics today. First thing we're going to do is go over how to secure the administrator account. So whenever you have a new Windows PC, the first account that you set up on the PC is an administrator account. That's an account with full access to the computer. Now that's not the type of account that we want to give to our kids. For our kids, we want to set up what's called a limited user account. Just like it sounds, that's an account with limited access to the computer. Second, we're going to touch on antivirus, and we're going to discuss a not so well understood fact about antivirus and Windows computers. And lastly, we're going to configure some time limits. We're going to create a schedule so that our kids can only use the computer during certain times of day. All right, with that, let's get started with securing the admin account. So here we are on our brand new Windows 11 computer. And by the way, if you've already bought a computer for your kids and you've already set it up and they've already been using it, the steps we follow here will still apply if you want to go in after you've already set up an account for them and just make sure that their computer is configured the way that we describe here. So before we get started, the first thing we've got to do is fix this start button in the middle of the taskbar. It's killing me. So at the bottom, right click on your taskbar and choose taskbar settings. Scroll down to taskbar behaviors and change the taskbar alignment to left. Okay, that's much better. I don't know what they're thinking with that taskbar in the middle stuff. Anyway, so step 1, we're going to secure the admin account on this PC. Go to your start button, right click, and choose computer management. Click on local users and groups and click on users. So if this is a brand new computer, the only accounts that you should see here are a couple of built-in Windows accounts and your own account that you set up when you first signed into the computer. So for me, here's my account that I first set up when I signed into the computer. And here are some built-in Windows accounts. Now the built-in Windows accounts all have a down arrow next to them, which means that they're disabled. And that's the way we want to leave them. The only account that we want enabled on this computer, if it's a brand new computer, is our own. So right click on the account that you have created for yourself, choose properties, click on member of, and just verify that you are a member of the administrators group. The administrators group gives you complete control over this computer. If this is not a new computer and you set this up a while ago for your children, go through this list of accounts and make sure that these built-in Windows accounts are disabled, administrator, default, guest, WDAG if you have it, and make sure that you have at least one account on the computer that belongs to you and is a member of administrators. Go ahead and set a password for this administrator account if you haven't already. So right click on the account and choose set password. Proceed. And enter in a password for this account. Now it doesn't have to be long and complicated. The goal here is just to make sure that your kids can't sign in to your administrator account. And so what I like to do is just create a short 4-digit PIN. Okay, after you've set the password for your administrator account and you have verified that there are no other accounts on the computer that are administrator accounts, we can move on to the next step, which is create a limited access account for your kids. Right click on users and choose new user. The only field that's required here is the username, so fill that in. And uncheck the box that says user must change password at next logon. So for my kids, I typically don't put a password on their account. There's really no reason to make your kids put a password in to sign into their account. Plus, if you ever want to get into this account, it just makes it easier for you to log in without having to remember what password you set for them. So I typically leave this blank, and if you want to make sure that your kids don't set a password themselves, then you can check the box to say user cannot change password. This will prevent your kids from adding a password to this account. All right, click create and click close. And here it is. Now you have a limited user account for your kids. If you double click on the account, click on member of, you can see it's a member of users, not a member of administrators like our other account that we had set up for ourselves. So here's what you want it to look like. Your account, member of administrators, your kids' account, member of users. If you just follow this simple step of setting up a limited user account for your kids, you've already won half the battle as far as securing this PC. This is going to make it really difficult for them to do certain things like install new software, change PC settings, etc. And this is important for enforcing parental controls and making sure your kids don't accidentally install malicious software, for example. Now that we've set up a limited user account for our kids, let's move on to step number 2 and talk about antivirus. So people ask me all the time, what is the best antivirus? What antivirus do you like to buy for your computer? And I always tell them, I don't buy any antivirus for my computer because Windows comes with antivirus already installed. It's called Windows Defender, and it's a pretty highly regarded antivirus product. That's what I use on my computers, and that's all I've used for many years now. Now when you first install Windows, you'll see it running down here. Probably has a little yellow exclamation point, and that means that there's some additional configurations that we need to set up on this new Windows install. So let's double click on that, and let's take a look at some of these. So here it's telling me to set up OneDrive so that I can replicate my personal files out to Microsoft Cloud in case I ever install ransomware on this computer and my personal files all get encrypted. Now for your kids, they probably don't have any important personal files that we need to back up, and so I'm going to choose the option to dismiss this alert. Now I've seen online a lot of people talking about how they're not able to dismiss this warning, and that appears to be the case for me here as well. So to fix this, we can click on our Start button, type OneDrive, and choose the option to uninstall. That will bring up your programs and features. Click on OneDrive and click uninstall. If we don't do this, we'll continually have this yellow warning exclamation point down here, and that bothers me. All right, after we close that, we can see the warning for OneDrive is still here. If we close security, reopen it, now you can see the warning is gone. The next action item we have here is to set up account protection. So what they want you to do here is create a Microsoft account for your kids and use that to sign into the computer. We're not going to do that in this demo. We're going to keep it simple and just use a regular Windows user account. So we're just going to dismiss this action item. And then lastly, we have app and browser control. This is a good one to turn on. As you can see here, it's a setting to block potentially unwanted apps from running on this computer. So this is just some additional protection against malware. So I like to turn that on. And that's it. After we've addressed all these action items, we can close the screen, and you can see we've got the happy green check mark down in the bottom. And that pretty much covers antivirus. Last thing on our list is to set up logon times. In order to set up a schedule for when your kids can and cannot log on to this computer to use it, we're going to use the command prompt. So click on your Start button, type command, and choose Run as Administrator for the command prompt app. All right, here in the command prompts, we're going to use the net user command. So if you type net user and hit enter, it's going to show you all the accounts that are on this computer currently. And you'll recognize these from earlier. It's the administrator account, the default account, the guest account, the account we set up for our kids, our own account, and this WDAG account. In order to set time limits for our kids account, we're going to type net user and then your kid's account name, which in my case is my kids. Next, we're going to set login times, and the way to do that is you type /times : and here you can specify days and times that your children are allowed to sign into the computer. So for example, I like to have certain login times for during the week and slightly different login times for during the weekend. So let's say Monday through Friday, my kids are allowed to sign in and use this computer from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 p.m. in the evening. The way that's done is you type M-F for Monday through Friday, comma, 09:00 for 9 a.m. And it uses military time, the 24-hour clock here, so 17:00 for 5 p.m. and hit enter. And to set up different times on the weekend, we use the same command, net user account name /times. We'll do SA for Saturday, SU for Sunday. They can still sign in at 9 a.m., but we'll let them stay on a little bit later since it's the weekend, and we'll change this to 7 p.m. And there it is. If you've made a mistake or you ever want to go back and remove these time restrictions and redo them, you can just type net user account name /times and type all. This will clear out any logon restrictions, and your child will be able to sign into the computer anytime they want. And that's it for time restrictions. Now that we've set up everything for our kids' account, let's sign out of our account and sign into our kids' account to make sure everything is working the way that we expect. When we first sign into our kids' account, we're going to be given some options to configure here for our privacy settings. So read through these, choose the ones that you want to leave on, the ones you want to turn off, and then say accept. Okay, once you're signed into your kid's desktop, let's go ahead and do them a favor, and let's set their taskbar to the normal left-hand taskbar. Okay, so here we are on our kids' newly configured desktop. So one thing we want to take a look at real quick is the antivirus. You can see we've got a yellow exclamation point here. Let's open that up. And it's got a couple of the same action items that we saw earlier for our own user profile. Some of you guys may also see a OneDrive notice here. If you do, just follow the same steps that we did before, where you click on Start, you type OneDrive, and you choose the option to uninstall. For account protection, same as we did before, we don't need our kids to sign in with a Microsoft account, so we'll choose Disable there. And the app and browser control, we do like to have additional malware protections turned on for our kids, and so we're going to choose the option to turn that on. So here is an example of the window that you, the administrator, will see often when your kids are trying to do something on their PC that they don't have permission to do. So in this example here, they're trying to change a Windows Defender setting, and they don't have permission to do that, so it's asking for an administrator account. So you, the administrator, can decide if you want to allow your children to make that change, and if you think it's okay, then you can type in your password here and say yes. And now the change has been made. So you, as the administrator on this computer, are going to see that window a lot over the months and years ahead, depending on what your kid is doing on the computer. So if they're trying to install a certain application and it requires administrator permissions, they're going to receive that prompt. They're going to come and get you, and they're going to ask you to put in your password. In that situation, you can say no to the prompt. You can go back, you can look at the application they're trying to install, you can decide if it's okay with you, and then if you decide yes, that's okay, they can go ahead with the installation and you can put your password in. If you decide it's not okay, then you don't give them your password, and they are not able to install that application. So this is just one of the advantages of giving your children a limited user account and you maintaining the only administrator account and being the only one who knows the password for that account. And that covers how to set up a PC account for your child. Just to recap what we went over, we made sure that our account is the only administrator account on this computer and that we have a password that our kids don't know. We made sure to set up a limited user account for our kids. This is going to restrict their ability to install new applications, change PC settings, modify parental controls, all the things that we don't want them to be able to do. We talked about antivirus, and we configured Windows built-in antivirus, Microsoft Defender, and we set up time limits so our kids can only use this computer during certain times a day. That's it. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
You know how you're always doing stuff not really fun? Well, check out my website. It's really fun.